So have you ever asked yourself, who am I? Who am I? I remember growing up as a kid asking myself those types of questions. Who am I? Why was I born in Pembroke, Virginia, instead of England or South America? Or why am I white instead of black or Hispanic or Asian? Heady questions for a little kid. Heady questions for an adult. As we really step back and think about this miracle of life and how it is within us and where we are, when we are, this time, this place, this moment, it can just be startling to think about. Asking who I am forces us to begin to recognize who I'm not. Who I'm not. Our book of the month talks a lot about this, and I invite you to join us Tuesday night for that. But it forces us to recognize who we're not so that we can begin to see who we are. We're not our professions. We're not our bodies. We're not the roles that we play in life. We are not the stories we've been told. I think Wayne Dyer said it best when he said, we are human beings having a spiritual experience. As spiritual beings, of course, we're love, right? We are love because that's what we're created of. This month, being Valentine's month, our series is It's All About Love. It's all about love. And Reverend Lee are going to be talking to you all month about love. Love and relationships. Don't anybody panic. It's okay. It's going to be all right. We're talking about all relationships. We're also going to be talking about love in community, this community, the broader community, the global community. And we're going to talk about God as love. And today I get to talk about self-love. And my talk is, who am I? Who am I? Anybody ever heard the phrase self-love? Yeah, we hear a lot about it, don't we? There's a lot of books written about it. There's workshops. They talk about it on talk shows on TV. Self-love. So today, we're going to look at what is it? And why do we not have it? And how do I get me some of that? Okay. During ministerial school, it became painfully evident to me that I had perhaps not discovered all of the self-love I could, that maybe I was lacking a little bit in that department. Now, my life had been mostly outwardly focused. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience where you think everything is out there for us to go get. Success, love, friends, joy, all of that stuff's out there. I've got to go get it. Rather than discovering that all of that comes from within. And so I had been studying science of mind for many years before I entered ministerial school. I had done some work, but not this deep work. You know how it is about peeling an onion? We talk about that our spiritual journey is sort of like peeling that onion, the different layers and layers and layers. I had done a few layers, but I hadn't done the deep layers. And so I spent some time peeling back those deep layers. And I began this inward focus and what you might call my own hero's journey as I started this exploration of self-love. What is it? What is it? It wasn't easy. It wasn't simple. It wasn't quick. It wasn't quick. It took me about 3 years, actually, of deep, committed work, of focusing on this inward journey, self-love, discovering what it is, how to let it out. Who am I? Started off with introspection. Who am I? Going deeper, self-discovery. And during this phase, I spent a lot of time using the spiritual practices that I've learned that we teach here at the center to go deeper, to connect with spirit, to connect with myself, to ask some deeper questions, questions that I no longer could accept the socially acceptable answers to that I had always been doing in my life. Questions like, do I even want a relationship? Or do I just think I do because that's what I'm supposed to do? I had to dig deep on that. I had to dig deep on that. It wasn't all pretty, and it prompted then some self-acceptance. Ooh, this is who I am. This is what I think. This is what I've been doing. Wow. So I had to move through some self-acceptance of what was. Okay. Peel back the curtain, look at it and go, wow. It's just, the Wizard of Oz versus the Wizard of Oz. It's like, ooh, okay, look at that. So I had to let go of who I thought I was, who I was projecting into the world. Anybody heard the mask idea, that we all wear a mask? And we have different masks that we wear in different areas of our lives. So I had to begin to let go of all of that, to begin my journey into my greater expression of my greater yet to be. Well, as you can imagine, this brought up some things that required a pain, that created pain, and required some self-forgiveness. I was kind of at that point now. Wow. Regret, resentment, things that I had done and hadn't done. I had to forgive myself for those things so that I could move beyond them and let it go and not get stuck in regret. If you've ever done forgiveness work, that's not always a cakewalk, right? It's not always a cakewalk. But it's important work that we have to do. Have to forgive others for not showing up the way I wanted them to. Anybody else had that one? What? But I wanted you to be this way. And then we get mad, and then we hold on. I had to let go of all of that. Releasing and regrets, old ideas, old beliefs, and embracing where I was and what was now. Ernest Holmes is the founder of our Centers for Spiritual Living. He's also the author of The Science of Mind, and he says that love is also forgiveness. Did you know that? Love is also forgiveness. Love overlooks the little differences that we have and finds a point of reconciliation. Love creates tolerance and understanding, without which we become divided against ourselves and unconsciously become filled with criticism, condemnation, and false judgment. Yeah, I probably had all this. And I got to forgive all of those. I got to forgive all of those and let that go. Love is also forgiveness of ourselves and of others. So as I continued on this journey, as I said, it was about a 3-year process. So these were not quick steps. But as I continued on it did begin to feel like a path. Like the next step was illuminated before me as I continued going on. And the next one surprised me a bit. With all this self-discovery, acceptance, and forgiveness, it made me recognize that there were some wounds now. Remember the pain? Got through the pain. Well, now I've discovered there's some wounds, the unhealed stuff that I had carried from childhood, from relationship to relationship to relationship, or whatever I had carried with me, that I was now had the wound. If you've read Michael Singer's work, The Untethered Soul, remember he talked about the thorn, that we have a wound, we have a thorn that we carry, we protect. We then build our life around it so that we can protect that and it can't get jostled and hurt in any way. And so I had some of those thorns that were deep childhood things that I had brought forward with me that maybe I hadn't realized, I know I hadn't realized until that point, that those were things that were blocking me from that which I was trying to call into my life. I said I wanted this, but over here I've got this part of me saying, you can't have that. You're not worthy of that. You don't deserve that. You can't trust that. Anybody else have any of that kind of stuff? Am I alone in this? So this is the work, right? We've got those voices, that subconscious, that 95% place we talk about. And we've got this place of love within us that we can discover and bring forward. These childhood beliefs that were blocking me were not allowing me to see beauty, were not allowing me to see what was possible. I had heard the teaching, I had learned the teaching, I could speak the teaching, but there was part of me that said, yeah, but not for you. Yeah, but not for you. And that's the part that I had to heal. To say, yes, for me, for everyone, for all of us. Ernest says that healing is about health and happiness. I was physically healthy and I was generally happy, but yet there was that stuff in me, that those unhealed places within me that were not allowing me to truly love myself, and not in a narcissistic way. I mean, that's a whole different thing, right? We're talking about self-love, genuine self-love. So Holmes talks a lot about healing and science of mind. If you've ever looked in the book, there's tons of references to it. We're a healing teaching, aren't we? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all things we believe can be healed. And he talks a lot about that. He says healing includes the emancipation of the mind from every form of bondage through a new concept of God, which causes the heart to beat with joy and gladness. He also taught that there's nothing to be healed. What? Healing is the emancipation of the mind, but there's nothing to be healed. We're back to that paradox thing that Reverend Lee talked about last month. Healing is really the revelation of the truth of who we are. We are whole, perfect, and complete. But we have the choice to put this stuff on us like I had done, carrying the wounds and the beliefs and the stories and so forth and so on, that cause me to feel like I'm not whole, that I'm not complete, that something is missing. I was beginning to understand through this process that I was, in fact, emancipating my mind from my own past bondage, things that I had done, things that I had accepted as true. Oh, that must be true. You're not smart enough. You're not tall enough. You're not whatever enough. Oh, you must be right. That must be true. Okay, I'll own that. So whatever that is, we emancipate ourselves. We release the bondage of our own minds. I'd already discovered a new concept of God through the study of the science of mind. I had left behind the guy in the sky with the beard and and all that stuff. For the most part, there were still places where that old image would come forward. So there was continued healing in that degree as well. So healing those old wounds and beliefs about myself and life, I discovered was possible. Because it's a lot like when you're cleaning the house and you kind of sweep the dirt under the rug. It looks like the house is clean, but it's not. It's not. And that's what this deeper work is. It's picking up the rugs and sweeping that stuff out, cleaning it all up. The basic teaching of the science of mind tells us God is love. Most faith traditions say God is love. It's a Bible verse. It's one of the first ones we all learned. God is love. We also teach that God is the creator of all that is from itself. There's only one substance, and that means we're created of that. So guess what? We're love. And so is everything else. And so the way this whole thing works is that when we get into alignment with love, self-love, love of all and everything, we are now in alignment with our good, whatever that might be, because we're love, it's love, and we're in alignment. So we're a natural match and attraction to that. We're no longer trying to call in abundance and saying, no, I'm not worth that. we're now in alignment with that. We're no longer trying to call in a relationship and saying, I don't trust guys. I don't trust women. We're now in alignment with that. We're now in alignment with that. When I say good, I'm not talking about just the physical things out in the world, cars and houses and money and so forth. I'm talking about love, peace, harmony, joy, the God qualities of the all good. That's what we're aligning ourselves with. Plus, all those goodies show up too, right? Because those are the perks of life. Those are the perks of life. Now, there is one more step in this journey of self-love, and the final one is self-care. Now, self-care is more than bubble baths and massages, a nice dinner or new outfit, although those things are lovely. I'm not poo-pooing that. Those are lovely. True self-care is about a change in consciousness. It's the transformed state of our being. When we can let go of all the wounds and heal them and the hidden things and get ourselves into alignment with self-love, we become transformed. We become transformed as someone who loves themselves deeply, respects themselves, values themselves, and this person also loves all of life deeply. There's truly no separation at that point. Because when we can recognize self-love, our own divinity of love within us, we begin to see God, namaste, in everyone around us. And we begin to recognize and feel that connection, that oneness and that wholeness that we are. This love is then outpictured as a healthy body, because it's no longer okay to have an unhealthy body. That wouldn't be in alignment, right? A cluttered living space is no longer sustainable. Have you noticed when you get on your spiritual journey that clutter starts to bug you more? Yeah, it just isn't in alignment. Our environmental abuse begins to stop. We become more sensitive to our environment and our impact on it. Relationships that are not in alignment easily fall away, and we call in ones that do. And our money is no longer a place that challenges us, but it is a place that sustains our needs and desires. Does that sound good? That all sounds pretty good. Self-love, alignment, oneness. So true self-care is about being transformed. And our life then reflects back through us that unconditioned love of God. A life where we no longer devalue ourselves through our thoughts of unworthiness, judgment, people-pleasing, codependency, passive-aggressive behavior. We don't devalue ourselves through those things any longer. We just simply look at life as love and recognize that we're all doing the best that we can. And we all try to do our best. When we can let go of all of that stuff, healing is revealed. The answer to who am I becomes I am. So if you're ready to uncover that love that you are, I invite you to consider your own spiritual hero's journey and the discovery of self-love. So I want to look at our practicing the principles this morning for this week as you begin your journey, or maybe choose to begin your journey. And remember to sign up for Mindful Monday. Mindful Monday is a newsletter that I send out on Monday mornings that is a summary of today's talk and will give you all the details of the principles that we're going to talk about. And it also is the quotes and things that I use in the talk as well. So our first step was self-discovery and introspection. I'm going to invite you to spend time in meditation. Spend time alone. Spend time in the quiet and in the stillness. Ask and answer the question for yourself. Who am I? And ask it over and over and over and over and over and over and over until you peel away all of the ego, all of the surface, all of the society stuff, and get down to who am I? Who am I? And begin writing that down. I invite you to keep a travel log or journal, whatever you want to call that, so that you can keep up with your entire process. Second step is self-acceptance. Now that you're beginning to discover who you are, you get to begin the process of accepting who you are, And this is the time when we might find ourselves questioning our beliefs. What do I really believe about everything? And about life, relationships, careers, who's in my life, who I spend my time with, especially those long-held beliefs that we have. It's good to record these questions in your journal as well. Self-forgiveness. You may discover, as I did, that you need to forgive yourself for a few things. Things you did or didn't do, how you judged others, things you said, beliefs you've held. I can't believe I believed that for so long and it was false. Forgiveness takes patience, it takes practice, and release. I found 4 little handy steps online that I thought were kind of relevant. The first one is to vent. Get it all out. Speak it to a friend, call your practitioner, just get it all out. The second is to discover the hook. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it. When you're describing what you're not forgiving someone about, what you're so angry about, and you can boil it down to find the hook. That one thing that just really keeps you angry, annoyed, unable to forgive. What is the hook? And if we can straighten that out, and let go of that, then we can begin to move to gratitude and actually letting it go. I thought those were 4 nice little tips. Self-understanding is step 4. Now that you've discovered, accepted, and forgiven, you can do that by Wednesday, right? Okay. It's time to understand who you are. Look around your life. See what is reflected there. The people, the relationships, finances, career, spirituality, who you are, how you show up, what things are around you. Just notice what's being reflected back. Notice how you spend your time. Notice what's not working. Notice what's not supporting. And remember, you can change it. You have the power of choice and to make a new decision. Meditation and journaling are good practices to contemplate and ask and answer these questions for yourself. It's a time of just looking at everything. It's sort of like that inventory that we did in January, the inventory of your life. It's sort of like that, only much more so. This is where you begin to gain that new consciousness of self. The 5th is your spiritual mind treatment for self-healing. Self-healing. Spiritual mind treatment is a spiritual technology that we use that supports healing. And I'm going to invite you to write an affirmative prayer for yourself and use it every day to begin to embody love. Become love, to heal the hurt places, to forgive and release. You might want to contact a practitioner. We have handouts in the lobby that give you an example of a spiritual mind treatment, explain the steps, and then give you a space to write your own. Prayer. Who's had a manifested prayer? Look around. Prayer works. It works. Trust me, this stuff works. So call Reverend Lee or Daniel, call me, we'll pray with you. You might also want to contact a practitioner during the forgiveness phase. That's another phase that we can sometimes use some support in, is moving through that forgiveness. Number 6, of course, is self-care. Look at how you take care of your life. We think of self-care as taking care of me, right? And that's a good thing. But look at how you're taking care of your life. Look at your body. Look at your living spaces. Look at your car. Look at the environment, your creative expression or career. How are you caring for that? Your relationships, your finance. What's your wallet look like? Anybody ever taken, thank you, Prosperity Plus, just leaped out of my head. She talks in there in the first class, your wallet should be a place that honors your money. It should be orderly with the bills all going the same way, stacked highest to lowest, with it all nice and neat. And he's laughing because mine looks like an explosion went off in it, so I'm working on it. But it's usually not that way. But your wallet is another place. Busted. Yeah, you love it. But I'm prosperous. So how are you valuing or devaluing your life? And we can look around at those areas. And, I obviously have some work to do. That's my Sunday afternoon project. But journal your answers here and decide where you are on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1, of course, being where you don't want to be and 10 being your perfect life. And then begin to make some new choices to move towards a 10 in those areas. So these 6 steps may take you 6 days or 6 years. Remember, mine took 3, so there you go. Whichever it is, the transformed consciousness that is on the other side of that is that which will create a world that works for all, because it starts with 1. And if we expand from there, like ripples on the pond, love will transform the world. And it starts with us. So I want to close this morning with a final quote from Ernest, who tells us the road to self-discovery often calls for a clearing away of the underbrush of ignorance, fear, superstition, and sense of isolation, which have made us feel we are unworthy, unloved, and lost. In the divine providence of good, salvation is unnecessary, but self-discovery is essential. We do not save that which was lost. We merely discover that which needs to be found. So it is. Would you join me for a prayer? How good it is that we join together in this consciousness of the One, as we recognize that there is one life, one mind. We call it God. We call it Source. We call it Essence, Presence, the energy of the universe. We call it love, joy, peace, harmony, wisdom, intelligence. It doesn't really matter what we call it. We just know it as that unconditioned love. And as we recognize this allness of life, we recognize too that we are one with it, for we are each an individualized and unique manifestation of this one substance, of this one source. We are told we are of the same compounds as stardust. There is only one. And so in this moment we unite and we remember our unity in this one, in God, in and through each other, in life. And from this place of perfect wholeness, I speak my word for and about each of us, knowing, claiming, and accepting the perfection of life that we are, the expression of love that we are, knowing that as we enter this journey of self-discovery, self-realization, the path is self-love. For once we love self, then we are an attraction, we are a magnet to all love, and all is God and all is love. And so therefore we are magnets to the all good of life, to more joy, more love, more success, more abundance, more wisdom, more relationships, because we are in perfect alignment with love. Love is who we are. And I know for this community in this moment that we are love, and that as individualized expressions of the divine, that we are beacons in this path and on this journey for others as we allow our lights to shine and to be love in the world and to surround our planet with love and to continue to allow this consciousness of love to expand and to grow and to heal. To heal. I know for anyone this day that has anything on their heart that they are seeking prayer support around, as they lift it into their consciousness and our love in this prayer, that we all hold them in that light, knowing the perfect expression of love through them and as them, and the healing of whatever that is, whether it's finance, creativity, whether it is loving relationships, physical health, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever the need is, we know that it is answered in this moment. And how grateful I am for this knowing, how grateful I am for the manifestation of this prayer, how grateful I am to know that we are one in the one. As I release this into the action and activity of mind, knowing that the word spoken is the word made manifest. I release it, I let it be, and we affirm together. And so it is.